All right, welcome to the show, everybody. Thank you for joining me as always. So today, I got a whole bunch of stuff for you. So the House Freedom Caucus, that's the far-right Republican caucus, they have decided to go full evil in demanding concessions from Biden in order to raise the debt ceiling. Now, for those of you who don't know, the debt ceiling is about the money we already spent. So this is a matter of like, hey, are we gonna like pay our debts, which we need to by law? And so it's like they're threatening a global recession or depression if they don't get these insane extractions. I'm going to get to them in a little bit for you. It's really something to see. And then Donald Trump is in classic Donald Trump form. He is livid over Ron DeSantis' book sale numbers. Oh, he's so petty. I love it. I love how petty he is. It's glorious. And then later on in the show, Michael Knowles from the Daily Wire lets it all hang out about their culture war garbage. If you think they're going to stop at being like anti-trans, oh boy, you got another thing coming. Dog, they're coming for, they want to end divorce. They want to end divorce. They want to go full like, hey, it's 1752. Like that's their long-term goal. So we'll talk about that and much, much more. And before I jump into the first story, let me just do some shameless plugs real quick. We're so close to that 1 million subscriber number, y'all. We're so close. Help us get there. And when we get to 1 million subs, we'll do a celebratory stream. We'll have some fun with it. I'm really looking forward to it. I could feel that plaque in my hands. I could feel that 1 million sub plaque in my hands. So help us get there. Click the sub button below. Also, click that bell icon so you get a notification every single time a video drops. And give your boys some algorithm love, like, comment, all that fun stuff. You know the algorithm doesn't treat us all that kindly, so we got to kind of try to like make up for that and find a way around it. And this is the way around it. And remember, guys, you could always listen to the full shows on Spotify. You don't need to go video for video on YouTube anymore, so definitely check that out. We're trying to grow the podcast audience specifically. And remember to support your boy on Patreon, link below. I've never had a conversation with an advertiser. I never will. We fund this show through small dollar donations, so link in the video description box below. Help your boy out. And thank you. Much love to everybody who does help the show out. You guys keep it going. And much love to everybody over on Substack too, Funds Crystal, Kyle, and Friends. All right, anyway, let's go ahead and jump into it. So, the House Freedom Caucus, or as they used to be called, the Tea Partiers, by the way, they are the far-right caucus. And look, their whole thing is basically to be anti-populist, which is kind of ironic because there's a lot of sentiment floating around nowadays that like somehow the Freedom Caucus is populist. Nobody has ever been less populist. They don't care at all about what's good for the American people and what the American people want. What they care about is insane far-right economics. So these guys are like hardcore, rugged, individualist, unfettered capitalist types, Ayn Rand types. They obsess over low taxes for the rich. And ironically, they also obsess over low deficits. They don't want any debt, which is funny because if you cut taxes for the rich, that's going to increase the deficit and the debt. But somehow they want to cut taxes for the rich and also have a low debt and deficit. And by the way, how do they try to achieve any of this stuff? Easy. Get rid of the social safety net. No help for poor people, no help for working people. So they decided we are going to fight Joe Biden and we are not going to hold back. Now, in one very narrow area, they've already lost. What area is that? Medicare and Social Security. Between Joe Biden drawing a hard line in the sand and going, no, I'm not budging an inch, we're not cutting a penny from Social Security or Medicare, that forced them to back off, as well as Donald Trump, who's running for the nomination on the Republican side, he's saying the exact same thing as Joe Biden. Don't cut a penny from Social Security, don't cut a penny for Medicare. So, honestly, credit to Biden on that front and credit to Trump on that front. Look, I try to be fair, I try to be objective. If these guys make an argument that I think is right, I'm not going to be like, no, they're not right because I don't like them. That doesn't make any sense. But if they're right on this particular issue, I can give them credit on this particular issue. And because of Biden and Trump basically teaming up to say no cuts to Medicare, no cuts to Social Security, that's the reality. They dropped their fight on Medicare and Social Security, but they're picking up some other fights, and these are horrible. So go ahead and throw this up on screen here. So Jeff Stein says the following. New, House Freedom Caucus says it will only consider voting to raise the debt limit if we, quote, rescind Biden student loan cancellation, rescind the IRS boost, cut spending by at least $3 trillion, rescind billions for the climate, and cut energy regulations. Wow. Wow, this is a full-on hostage situation. It's full-on hostage stuff. All right, so let's go through them one by one here. They're saying you have to no canceling any student loan debt in order for us to avoid a recession or a depression. If you help those working people, Mr. President, it is over. I'm going to put us into a giant recession or depression. I mean, when I first read this, my thought was like, you know, if you don't do what I want, I'm going to kill those 17 adorable puppies. It's like, this is deeply unpopular. If I was Biden, if I was one of the Democrats, I would be crusading now, pointing out what they're saying. Look at how insane this is. By the way, 90% of the student loan debt reduction helps people making $75,000 a year or less. This is squarely helping working class people who need a break, who never get a break. And look at them. They're like, you know that one of the few things you did that actually helps working people? You need to stop that now, or else. Or else we're going to make you pay. Or else we're going to have a recession or a depression. And we'll force it. We'll force it on you. Unbelievable, man. Now, rescinding the IRS budget, that's another part of this. Okay, so everybody knows there's been an increase of, it's between like 60,000 and 83,000, somewhere in that range, new IRS employees. Now, we did a deep dive on this in one of our segments previously, and there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Number one, this is just to get the IRS back to the levels that it was already at in like the 1990s. So in other words, there's been a war on it, and they're just saying, hey, let's bring it back to the 1990s. And number two, this is specifically to go after people who make $400,000 a year or more. So in other words, it's let's beef up the IRS to finally start going after some wealthy people again. Because again, there's been a war on the IRS. When the IRS was bare bones before this move, you know what they did? They did the path of least resistance, and they would only audit working class people because it's easier to audit working class people, and they don't have the team of attorneys and experts and accountants who find loopholes for rich people to pay less. So they said, let's just go after working class people. So this was an attempt to say, we got to start going after some rich people again. And the Freedom Caucus is saying, oh no, we got to let the rich get away with everything again. We got to keep screwing working class people and helping wealthy people. So you got to get rid of that increase in IRS funding. I mean, they couldn't let you know who they are more than this. Cut spending by at least $3 trillion. By the way, where do you think they're going to cut? Here, I'll give you a hint. It ain't the military budget. It's all of the social safety net programs other than Medicare and Social Security. Because, and Trump's budget guy released a proposal not that long ago, and that was exactly what his proposal was. His proposal was like, yeah, we're gonna, as long as it's not Medicare, Social Security, we're gonna cut it to the bone, son. So think about it. SNAP, for example, which is the food stamps program. WIC, which is the government program to help, like, you know, mothers who don't have much money. These are the things that they're like, oh, forget it, gut it, gut it, gut it. We don't want any of that. This is exactly where that money's going to come from. Rescind billions for climate. That would be like a lot of the new funding in the IRA, which, by the way, creates massive number of jobs, and it's made in America. So the stuff that, you know, we're doing for renewable technology and green technology, it's all made in America, and these are jobs that pay pretty well. And that's what they want to get rid of. And then they say cut energy regulations, which is code word for let the natural gas and oil companies get away with whatever the hell they want to get away with, and let's continue to go further and further down the path of climate change to the point of no return, and we love that because we're funded by big oil. That's what they're asking for. So these, I mean, look, again, this is a hostage situation, and if I was one of the Democrats, I would absolutely wreck them over this. They're giving you so much political capital here. Like, they're just saying, hey, here's a giant mallet. Why don't you hit me in the face? They're asking for it. So I would tell Biden, do exactly what you did on Medicare, do exactly what you did on Social Security. Get out there and say, I'm not cutting a goddamn penny from this. And I just want the American people to know, if the debt ceiling doesn't get raised, just so you know exactly who's the cause of it, I'm going to tell you. And he's got the bully pulpit. He should use it. So, again, he stood strong on Medicare and Social Security. Credit. Trump was helping him on that one, though, which made it harder for Republicans to lean into their position of wanting to cut it. But I don't know. I don't think he's going to have Trump's assistance on this one. And so he needs to work overtime on this. And by the way, there's a lot of debate about what exactly Biden can do to get around the debt ceiling problem. One of the things people talk about is minting the $1 trillion coin. Maybe, maybe not. I don't think he'll do it. In fact, he's said he won't do it. But there are other ways he could do it as well. You basically have like conflicting laws on the books. And so he could just choose to, he could just choose to enforce one of those laws, namely that we can't go over our debt limit. And so he could lift it on his own, I think. And then it might run into some legal challenges. But at that point, you put it in the hands of the court system and you say, hey, do you guys want to be responsible for forcing us into a recession or a depression and destroying the full faith and credit of the United States government? And my guess is the courts will back down, right? So he has options, but they're not many good options. But this is a fight that he should knuckle up for because he's definitely on the winning side of it. In the court of public opinion, these Republicans are going to look like the psychos that they are. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.